Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano catch-up where we look at the main news, items, events within the Cardano ecosystem that caught my eye this week. Also, one or two things outside of Cardano that I'll touch on very quickly towards the end as well. If you get value, please do share it out. Comment, questions, or even stuff that should be included, or even for the algorithm down below. Give the video a like. I do appreciate it. I will also try and say as well a bit less in this video too. Let's jump into it. Okay, so starting out here, and timestamps will be down below as usual, and the links to the different articles and information that I talk about as well for people who want to dive a bit deeper. This is the thread that I put out on Twitter every Thursday. Again, I put it out a bit late yesterday. I'll try and start putting it out earlier on a Thursday where anyone can submit information they think should be included in this. I will leave a link to this down below if you want to check out some of the stuff that the community has put in, and some of it will feature throughout the video as well. So first up is the next Cardano upgrade is coming in February, and this one is all about cross-chain compatibility and bringing in some new features to allow developers to build more easily cross-chain dApps and include Cardano. So if we go through it here from IOG, the next upgrade is targeted for February. It's tentatively for February 14th. You'll see that in the article in a minute. And it's all about bringing in new built-in functions to Plutus. Currently with Plutus, when you are signing, I think it's down here, Cardano uses the Edwards curve digital signature algorithm, and there is built-in support within Plutus for this, but a lot of other chains use different ones. So now they're going to be adding in support for ECDSA and Schnorr cryptographic signatures. And on a high level, this is basically to make it easier for developers to build cross-chain dApps. Again, you can go through all of this yourself, and for more information on it, this article here by Tim is a good one to check out as well. So an example is Bitcoin and Ethereum, among other cryptographic systems, use ECDSA Schnorr signatures. So for people who want to build cross-chain dApps or use information across chain, then this is going to be a really good feature for them as well. When we get a hard date on it, I will announce it. Probably next week we might know a bit more, and I'll include that in the next weekly Cardano catch-up. So last week we seen the Cardano toolkit for sidechains was released as well by IOG, and there will be a lot more about that throughout this year. I will do a dedicated video on that soon. While looking through some of the resources that I bookmarked, I watched this video this morning by Sebastian talking all about sidechains, layer 2s, where to deploy your app or your dApp, and I think this is a good video for people to get a bit of a perspective on why certain applications might choose different types of approaches as well, why they mightn't all launch on a layer 1. I will be sitting down with Sebastian next week as well to talk about what they're doing with Paima Studios and the gaming side, and I will try and get some questions in there about the Cardano toolkit, the sidechain and sidechains, what they're doing with Milkomeda as well. So just on sidechains then, I will mention World Mobile. So I touched on this with Paddy when we had the live stream on Wednesday night, and every Wednesday night now going forward, we will be doing it 9 p.m. UTC. Make sure you stop on by if you have questions, or even come on if you just want to have kind of interaction over and back with the two of us. We have a guest coming on next week, a very familiar voice within the Cardano ecosystem, and I will talk about that early next week as well. We talked about World Mobile and the questions around whether they are leaving Cardano, and straight up they're not leaving Cardano. They will be running a sidechain for part of their infrastructure. There's a press release hopefully going to come out in the next few days to talk about how that's all going to work. The private testnet is out there. I do now have access to that and can see how things are going. So when the press release comes out, I might try and do a dedicated video on it. But I thought this was interesting here. Evan, who is definitely not the biggest fan of Cardano, talks about the ADA zombie chainers, and Mr. T came back with, that's Mickey over on Twitter, and he came back with a fairly good response here that got a lot of likes compared to the original one, talking about what World Mobile are doing on Cardano as well. But I'm not going to get into the details of it here, but I will leave a link down below for people who want to read through it. Talks about what they're doing, the infrastructure they're building, and is very much talking about how they are building on Cardano, and talking about, you can see here, mass adoption doesn't care about TPS when sidechains can be built, which is part of their solution that they're working with on Cardano as well. So then we have MELD. So the MELD private testnet is live. So there's 500 testers have got access to this. I haven't got access yet. I think this is going to last for 2 weeks, but as soon as I can get in and get access, I will be having a look around as well. Great to see that it is live. Anyone who has access to the testnet, make sure and let us know down below how things are going as well. You can see they had another post out here about the testnet update. So this was just before the private testnet users got access. Talked about they have supply and borrowing functionality on the protocol working as expected. Here's the thread of on-chain addresses for people who want to dive into it if they haven't got access to the testnet. Other updates, so COTI will be launching soon. I heard rumors of next week, but I'm not sure if that's fact or not. As soon as I do get a definite date, I will put that out. Thought this was interesting from a recent COTI update as well, talking about a lot of people refer to ZED as an algorithmic stablecoin, but when you start looking at it here, and this makes a lot of sense, is that ZED is more an over-collateralized stablecoin. Well, simple ZED definitely is, which when ZED launches first, it will be simple ZED. Extended ZED will come later down the line as well. But when you go down through it, basically it is an over-collateralized because the algorithm isn't what controls everything within it. It's all based on how much over collateralization is there, because if it's under 4x, you can't mint any more ZED. If it goes over 8x, then you can't mint any more Shen. So it's done based on the ratios of ADA, or the ratios of the collateral versus what is out there in circulation. And again, once it does go live, I will dive deeper into COTI. Hopefully we will see that one coming out fairly soon in the next week or two. Next up, we see Charles wasn't that happy about some comments here. There was a video put out by a very popular YouTuber talking about the best layer 1 and what it was going to be. They used a VC report looking at some of the stats and metrics to try and decide what they thought the best layer 1 was going to be. So Charles had a comment here about YouTubers that Chill, Solana and Luna aren't giving Cardano a fair chance. And this comes back from Chris here had posted about it, and you can see the original post here advertising that video is gone, but the video is still there. One of the metrics they used was GitHub commit. So I'm not sure where they got their stats from, but if you follow things like proof of GitHub, you can see here that generally Cardano is among the top chains for daily commits. You can see on the 19th, Polkadot Kusama was number 1, Cardano was number 2. Back here the day before, Cardano was number 1, Polkadot number 2. Before that, Polkadot number 1, Cardano number 2. And I would say make sure you keep an eye on the chains that are building in the bear market and the protocols that are building on them as well. If you look at something else here, Sentiment, which does a lot of stats across different chains, they had Cardano as the number one development activity throughout 2022. So it's interesting to see. It all depends on where you're getting your stats from, and a lot of cases in terms of that other video and the report and who put the report out, it depends on what they want to really highlight and show as being the best. You can pick and choose the metrics you want to use, but when you start to look at the hard facts overall, you make up your own mind then on what you think. So one of the protocols building on Cardano that continuously brings out improvements is Minswap, currently the number 1 DEX on Cardano. Today we are excited to announce Yield Farming Harvest V2. So this is where if you are yield farming multiple different tokens on the platform, that you can harvest multiple different ones at once through the same transaction. So rather than having to do your individual transactions to harvest, you can do it all at once, which I think is a very good feature for people who are actively doing this. Less fees for you and a lot simpler as well. So to do this, there is a small upgrade. So now you can choose to migrate in a few clicks to harvest V2 contract. This is using some of the Plutus V2 optimizations that come in as well, so you can read the details there. But again, congrats to Minswap and thank you for continuously improving, bringing new features to the ecosystem. So another dApp then that I've talked about on Cardano is Indigo, and they are making some changes as well. So the minimum collateral ratio, the MCR for iUSD, is being raised from 110% to 120%. So this means that your collateral against your iUSD needs to be at least 120%. So as the protocol is early and the current architecture of everything that's out there, I think this is a good way to go overall, and it does protect the protocol, because everything we see in the macro events right now in the world and within crypto, the markets can move fairly quickly. A 10% move in a day it can very easily happen. We've seen this week alone where the DOJ come out, which I'll talk about later on, which ended up not being much at all, but the fear it put into the market, there was a fairly decent pullback for most coins there. And if you have a very low MCR, then you could easily get liquidated. Something else on Indigo as well, they have added iETH, so a synthetic version of Ethereum over on the platform. I don't think I covered this one before. So when you go to Indigo now, you can see that you can now mint iETH as well as iBTC and iUSD. I have done a tutorial on Indigo before to talk about how it all works, and I will leave a link to that one down below for anyone who wants to dive a bit deeper into it. So NuFi have come out as well that the NuFi wallet now supports Milkomeda C1, the sidechain, bringing EVM dApps to Cardano. So before this, you had to use two different ones. You had to use a Cardano wallet, and then when you sent your funds over, you then had to use MetaMask. I haven't got to test this one out yet, but NuFi have been around for a long time. Well, previously known as Lite. NuFi is the evolution of that and the same team behind it. So again, you can check this out. I will leave the link to this one down below, and I will try it out before next week as well. I do notice that it does say here that you have to disable MetaMask and Flint to be able to do this, and then you're able to use the NuFi wallet. So when you go to open up MetaMask or NuFi, it will open up the NuFi wallet on its own. Hopefully they can improve that you don't have to disable the other wallets in the future, but it's great to see that everything can be done in one place now as well. So in terms of wallets and tracking then, something that I personally use is WalletBud. It's a way of tracking your wallet. So basically it's monitoring the chain. You put in what addresses you want to track, it monitors them, and anything in or out of that wallet, it sends a notification to you on Discord or on Telegram. So if you're looking for notifications like that, the team has put together a really good system here, and it's free for now, but if they do bring something out, I would encourage people to support them as well, because they have built a lot, and I've no affiliation, never talked to the team. It's just something that I personally use myself, and they have brought out WalletBud V2 now as well. New types of notifications, and you can track 15 wallets per users, which is brilliant for a free application. Project Catalyst as well has a new website out and a very detailed site when you start to go through it. Again, we mentioned this in the live stream on Wednesday, but didn't really dive into it. If you come over here, Catalyst right now is paused. I'm not sure when the next fund will be opening up, but when it does, I will put that info out. If you come in here to the different funds, you can see you can go through all of the different funds. You can drill down into them, check out the different categories that there was, and you can check out the projects or the ideas that got funded as well and see where they are at. So it's great to have this transparency and very easy for anyone to drill down into it. So you can see the different proposals here. So you can go down through them if you like any of them. So iETH, good site for keeping up to date with Cardano information as well. If you go down here, they got funding in the last round. You can see how much of the funding they have got, how much is remaining, the votes, and more information about the concept, the team, and everything like that as well. So good to see more transparency coming out of Catalyst. And once we know how the next voting rounds are going to go, I'll put together a video on that one as well. Cardano Foundation were at Davos this week, so lots of people not big fans of Davos. Cardano Foundation were there and they had a panel talking about blockchain for good. Haven't seen much out of it yet, but Frederick is someone that I would like to sit down and have a chat with fairly soon, so I might reach out and see, can I get him on to talk about what the foundation is looking at in 2023. I think it'd be a good follow-up to our talk, or to our conversation at the Cardano Summit last year as well. There was a major announcement, or there was meant to be a major announcement from the DOJ during the week. So they came out and they announced that there was going to be a live stream, and I think it was 2 hours before it, talking about this major international crypto crackdown. So there was a lot of fear in the space, wondering what it was going to be. We've seen the markets take a fairly decent pullback at the time as well. And the live stream happened then, and then it was like Bitslavo, a very small cryptocurrency exchange that a lot of people in the industry have never heard of, and even people who have been around for a long time hadn't heard of, but they were accused of money laundering, and the Russian founder was arrested by the FBI. So this was a joint effort by different entities within the US that came together to take them down. When you look at the live stream, they all come on, the separate entities come on, basically say the same thing, all patting themselves on the back. But I suppose one thing to look at is that they weren't saying that crypto is really bad and crypto has to go, and they are kind of accepting that crypto is going to be here and hopefully they're trying to target some of the bad entities within crypto rather than just trying to attack everybody. We'll wait and see what happens, but it definitely was there was one thing here. So yeah, I like this one that was shared here. So you see all of the bad stuff that happened in crypto, and then one tiny exchange that not many people had heard of was what the DOJ was going after. But a lot of the language in it does sound like they might be taking a bigger approach in terms of looking at some of the entities out there that would be seen as bad actors in the space, which isn't a bad thing. We do need to clean it up. There will be regulation coming in, and people within the cryptocurrency space who are very knowledgeable getting involved in that regulation and what it's going to be, that is needed, because regulation is inevitable. If the prosecutors and the governments are left to make this regulation on their own, then it's not going to be good for any of crypto and will put a stop to a lot of the innovation. So crypto people need to be involved in it. The knowledgeable people need to be involved to explain what's going on and what is actually good actors versus bad actors in the ecosystem. Another thing that hasn't really phased the market is Genesis. Genesis crypto lending business filed for bankruptcy protection. So this is kind of part of the house of cards that is there with FTX. Was one of the final straws for this. 3 Hours Capital was a big hit for them earlier in the year, so it was something that was expected. I did think the markets might have a bit of a reaction, but so far not a whole lot has happened. We have to see who the creditors are in this and see, is there a knock-on effect on other companies. Gemini is one with the Gemini Earn program. They have taken a big hit. You see the Winklevoss twins are coming out and they're talking about suing Barry and the overall group here as well. But I'll look deeper into it, maybe do some kind of a video on it next week when we get maybe a bigger picture of who the creditors are here and what some of the knock-on effects are going to be. You can see in the article here, it talks about Gemini's defunct Earn program, which they were using Genesis, and all of the funds that they had in there are now, I don't know, gone, or you will be getting back a couple of cents on the dollar. As usual, when these types of things happen, the biggest winners in these situations are the lawyers that come in and get involved, and they do all the bankruptcy proceedings, charge massive money, and at the end of the day, it's the end users that end up losing out on funds, unfortunately. So that's it for today. We will have the live stream again next Wednesday with Paddy, and as I mentioned, we will have a guest on the channel next week as well for that live stream. Looking forward to that. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Hope you got some value from this. Give the video a share, like, comment, and I will talk to you soon.